Alright, what is going on, everyone? Update on the parts that I showed yesterday. I've been working on the mold, I've mended it, and I've done the first forming of the two pieces, and I'm super stoked with this thing. I'm excited. Alright, so let me walk you through what we have there. So those are the spoke wheels. I have the Team Saxo F1 rear axle, Team Saxo F1 front assembly. From these assemblies, now I know that I need to widen a little bit the rear, so I'm gonna redo some adapters for the bearings for my pod, and I'm just gonna increase a little bit the width at the back of the car. Right now it's a little too narrow. And other than that, I didn't do this is the mold actually for the windshield. This is not going to be a hard part, it's going to be 0.5 millimeter PETG sheet. You can really tell here, but there's a lot of little details, rivets and shapes and so on, and this will be clear. We'll only have to paint the side, so this is not done yet. I get my little rear view mirrors that would go on each side over there. I got the steering wheel. And so let me walk you through the general dimensions first. Oh yeah, and I have the new head as well that is completed. This is just ABS print, but it will be done in SLA like the rest of the parts, and it goes over there. As you can tell, I have formed the clothing on the guy. I'll show you a little bit this more in detail. But let's take a look first at general dimensions for the car. So this is the originator of this project. Well, let me put it back together on the table. Okay, I'm back with a different angle. Okay, so this is the originator of this project, which is a Tamiya F103 GT that I have modified and designed the wheels for. So this is the wheel that I've evolved to now those nice spoke tires with the drum brake at the back. Of course, I'm using the hollow versions down here at the moment. Those are not hollowed as well, you can see, but those, they were printed in ABS at my place. They honestly, they lived really well. It's only the little dish inward over there when I would use traction oil, and the traction would be too great. It would put too much stress on the hub in the center, and that's where the breakage would happen. So those are totally redesigned. They are not using the 12mm X like the F103 GT is, because this is F1 front end, so it's F1 size bearing, and of course the much larger 16mm X at the back. So I hope that just this alone should provide all the strength that it needs. And the other thing as well is I prefer to run it without the traction oil with those tires that are surprisingly okay for the application. So that's what started it. I found that the Sprinter body from RJ Speed looked kind of similar to what I was going for at the time, and so that's what I've used. Of course, you see the height difference is because I'm not running the tires on that, but it's going to be exactly the same height as this one when it's done, but you can see the difference is in wheelbase. So when like I showed on the first video last time, or the second video of this project, by taking the picture of the original car and scaling the tires to 1/10 scale to the size of these tires that I have, that's the wheelbase that it needs. And when you scale like that, actually the tire, the width, the wheelbase, as well as the width of the cars are perfect to the real size, real world model. So this is why the wheelbase is different. The width is the same, of course, the height is going to be the same, and then generally the body is much longer because of the longer tank that I have at the back over there, as opposed to this one, which it looks good, but this is a Sprinter body. Obviously it's not, it's a different kind of cars. So this is where this came from, and this is where I am at now with the car. So let's first of all take a look at the two body panels that are molded. You can see the grille in the front is really neat, super nicely detailed. I've done a very random cut at the moment over here. I might have to do it taller or not, I'm not sure. This is where, of course, the exhaust is going to mount, but the exhaust as well is going to go under the axle, so that's going to be interesting to mount. All the louvers and what is called the belts to attach the hoods are there. You can still see I have a little bit more work to do on the mold, but as a first pressing I'm super pleased with it. It is symmetrical, so nothing to report on the other side there. And there, this is cut perfectly straight, and this is the part that is going to assemble to the rear of the body. And so the rear of the body, you can see I have done all the work on the driver, so now it looks pretty good, I would say. Let me give him a head as well. So here you are, he's got his little neck and his little head and his helmet. Hi guys. So you can see his jacket, not really a scarf, but you can see like some kind of a thick collar around his neck. And then the steering wheel that is going to be mounted via a screw over there to the dashboard, and then you have the dashboard behind that will have a few stickers for it. The fuel filler over there, this is where the body post is going to go and come out from. So that's going to be mounted on the chassis. This little part that is so bright we can't even see it has shapes. And the body post is going to stick to the side, and then it's going to mount through here. Those little holes here are for the exhaust pipe. This very big opening, of course, is because at the rear you need the spur to be able to move up and down freely. So this side is where the Diff and spur are going through, so I have a sufficient amount of space for every possible movement of the car. And then on the other side is just a smaller opening because it's only the axle. You can see how cool those look with the drum brake inside. I'm really happy. This is the T-bar from the F103, just because I don't have the chassis at the moment, so I've just mounted it here to check the assembly. But this is different. My opening is longer here, so you would see actually the back of the transfer case here, the transmission. But you can have a general idea of how it's going to appear. Like I said, the adapters in there, left and right, I'm going to have to increase their width a little bit so I can have a few mil extra to the rear, to the general width of the car. Otherwise, I can say that this is a really good fitment on the 16 mil. It slides really smoothly, and there is no play whatsoever, so this is fantastic. All those are gonna come in FRP for this car, and actually might come for every other car in FRP as well. I'm trying. So the original F103 GT, of course, was an FRP car, and it's a great little chassis. I have not a single bad thing to say about it. So wouldn't mount on these T-plates, but it would mount on the back of the chassis. Of course, the diffuser would go over here, and so you can see that the diffuser is going to be encapsulated pretty well by the rear of the body, and once again is going to have plenty enough room to be able to sway and move around. So that's going to be good. I think it's going to be quite useful to have this pretty long diffuser at the back. I think that's going to help quite a lot, because that's the downfall of this car, of course, that I can tell from my F103 GT, is that of course having no wing at the back at all, at the end of a straight line at top speeds, you kind of hang on for dear life when it's time to brake and make a corner entry. So this is it for the pod over there. So let's see what the general size will look like. We have the front end. I'm going to show you the front end a little bit as well, and then you mount it like that. So this is the general look of the car. This is a little bit more backward, because those things, of course, the motor is higher up. The motor is all the way up into here when it's mounted into the car. So this way, like I explained before, if you cut a hole into the scoop over here, you would have air intake all the way into the car. So that should provide a lot of cooling for this car. And the front end, the reason why I chose the Team Saxo is for one single purpose, is this here. I can adjust how much angle I want to have over there, and I love to have this type of camber. This is a bit extreme, but you know, all those old trucks, racer, those cars mounted on the track chassis had this crazy camber in the front, and I want to have some of this camber over here. So this front end allows me to do it. It's a really high quality front end. This is my height adapters that I've made for it, but as you can see, it's mounting the F1 type super easily. So of course this in the chassis you'll be able to mount any Tamiya style F1 front end that you want. F103 GT you could, but you'd have to change the uprights, of course, because those are not going to come with the X. It's going to come with the ball bearings in the front, which are, I think, much smoother than the Hex. Those tires are seriously heavy, so this is going to be interesting as well to see how the weight plays a role in their durability. Same, have the little drum brake in the front, so in order for the drum brake not to interfere with those eyelids over there, I put a little spacer here. I think I should put like half a mil more maybe, and then nothing is really mounted at the moment. I just assembled it just for having a look, but this is what the car is going to be like. So the next step for me is going to be to finish the body while I'm waiting on the chassis, the main chassis plate, and then the battery hold and the little battery support for the middle here. And as soon as I have that, we're gonna have a rolling prototype that is going to be ready for testing it on the track. So I have to say, of all the projects that I've had so far, this is the one that excites me the most, just because this car is so much fun to drive. But now I have the realism to the F103 GT that I didn't have before, and this is really gonna make a big difference. So there's probably going to be some error to report once I start assembling everything. So far none to report, sadly, or should I say very happily, but I guess for the viewers problems are always welcome. And yeah, so that's it for the moment with this car, and I will see you back soon on this vintage F1 project as soon as I have the new parts coming in. Alright, on that note, bye bye everyone, bye bye.